Welcome to CCFR's Canada Downrange. Sport shooting is the most exciting and least covered sport in Canada. Come with us as we travel across our great nation to discover the coolest events, amazing locations, and the most interesting people. Today, Canada Downrange will spend some time at the Got Your Six charity shoot, held at the Canadian Historical Arms Society range outside of Edmonton, Alberta. Then we head to the Eastern Ontario Shooting Club to check on their Ladies' Range Day.
You're going to place your rifles on the ground over here behind this helix. You're then going to come over here to the line that we're going to draw. Use pistol to engage 2 times IPSC targets on either side of the helix. So left-hand shooter will take 2 left targets, right-hand shooter will take 2 right targets. Good. You're going to put 3 rounds onto the left, 3 rounds onto the other. Once you've both dropped 6 rounds total onto the 2 IPSCs, you're going to drop the helix targets. Once all the gongs are knocked off the helix, holster, you're going to move back here, pick up your rifles, you're going to move on to the helix. No tripods. You can use a bag. Once you're here, out at the 333 meters to the right-hand side, right next to the bushes, there's 4 green targets. They're little tiny green targets. You will fire 3 rounds each at your own 12-inch targets. 3 rounds, not 3 hits, 3 rounds. Once you fired those first 3, you're going to move down to the prone. Then you're going to fire 3 more at the 6-inch.
The GY6 charity event started in 2016 and is put on by 2 Canadian Armed Forces veterans, George Woodland and Tony Burton. After an alarming string of suicides from their regiment in 2015 that were directly related to PTSD and the depression from combat operations in Afghanistan, they wanted to do something about it. Got Your Six is a phrase used by military, police, fire, and EMS personnel. 6 meaning you're back. When you're in a firefight or chasing down a suspect, quite often you're trusting your friend or partner to have your back. This phrase is especially true when one finds themselves struggling with the demons from the past.
My spotter's tracking who's who. Who's A. 10 seconds! Time! Clear the weapons, please!
I think there's a real misconception in Canada that by making the gun laws harder on law-abiding citizens, you actually stop crime, which I think is it's totally not true. For example, some of the gun laws that we have in Canada are that a magazine can only hold 5 rounds in a semi-automatic rifle. If a criminal gets his hands on those magazines, it's literally a 20-second operation to pop out a pin and convert it to 30 rounds.
Spotters ready?
The first GY6 event in 2016 focused on Canadian soldiers. All donations and profits were donated to Wounded Warrior Canada. Every year, a different charity is selected to receive financial support for those who put their lives on the line. The generous donations will go to Can Praxis this year to help fund various programs including equine, group, and couples therapy, just to name a few. The objectives of GY6 at this event are to raise awareness for PTSD problems and encourage those suffering to reach out and get the help they need and deserve. There were many first responders, veterans, and medical professionals on hand to raise awareness for this crippling affliction. Having friends, family, and strong connections with law enforcement, EMS, and fire rescue, amongst whom PTSD cases are extremely high, the organizers chose to create an event that could help those affected while also bringing awareness to the issue. Tony Burton was quoted as saying, "Seeing everyday people on the worst day of their life will eventually break you."
I've been shooting since as long as I can remember, actually. My dad used to take me out shooting in the country. My family is actually out based around Stony Plain area. So I've been shooting probably now for about 35, 38 years. Most of the firearms incidents that happen are from stolen weapons or weapons they've gotten illegally. People who take quite a bit of consideration towards the laws and what we have to do to protect our laws, we follow those rights and we follow everything that needs to be done.
Since its inception, GY6 has made large donations to Wounded Warriors Canada, Warhorse Foundation, and Can Praxis, all charities known for their focus on mental health. While some of the people at this event came for the competition, there was still a strong feeling of camaraderie, and the spirit of giving was the feeling that everyone left with. Got Your Six is an annual event, and the organizers are looking to make it even bigger and better than this year, so look for it in 2019. Be sure to follow Got Your Six Facebook page at facebook.com/GotYourSix. Got your 6, shoot. And for any sponsorship inquiries, email Tony Burton, burton.tac@gmail.com.
Remember, if you don't stand up for your own ability to own and use firearms, who will? Join the CCFR or donate right now at www.firearmrights.ca.
Your pro tip for today actually isn't really a pro tip at all. I've got Ryan Stacy, who was a movie armorer for a long time, and I thought he could answer a question that I had, which you might have one similar as well, which is when you watch a movie and you're seeing all this shooting happening with semi-automatic rifles and handguns, how did they get the action to cycle when you know they're firing blank cartridges? So how does that work?
Well, so obviously a blank cartridge just has the gases, doesn't have a projectile. So we need something that is going to take the place of the projectile to start those gases to help cycle the action. So what we use is something to sort of plug the barrel and constrict the bore diameter so that some of those gases go back through the action and some of them come out and give you that wonderful flash that you see on TV. So there's a couple of different ways we did it. The main one is that we would take a barrel of a live gun and we would drill it out to a certain size and thread it and then put a screw, basically a piece of steel called a constrictor. It would go in there and then it would have a certain size hole that would be matched to the loads that we were firing. And that's very important because the wrong size constrictor or the wrong size load could actually cause the gun to detonate in the actor's hand, which is something that you totally don't want. So you got to be super, super careful, but basically that constrictor would have a hole drilled in it matched to the load, and it would allow just enough powder to, enough gases to cycle the action, but it would also allow some to come out the barrel and give you that really cool flash that you would see. So you can do it that way with like handguns and anything that had no muzzle brake on it. The other way to do it was just to pull off the muzzle brake and put something in between the barrel and the muzzle brake on like an AR-15.
Okay.
Or other semi-auto.
So is it still dangerous to point at a human being, do you
absolutely, think? It's mega dangerous for a number of reasons. Not only when you fire a blank do you get a lot of pressure that can destroy flesh or hurt somebody really badly, but you also have some unburnt powder that comes out. Because the movie industry uses mainly crimped blanks these days, you have to be super careful about pieces breaking off the crimped blanks. When you're using full loads and they're very hot, they have way more powder than a live round. It's pretty easy for the pressure to cause a piece of brass to flake off, and that piece of brass is going to go where the gun is aimed. So never do they get aimed at anybody unless really, really special precautions are taken on set to protect everybody. So we had pressure, unburnt powder, possibility of brass flaking off, but that constrictor in itself is basically a projectile that's wedged into the barrel. So if that thing comes out of there, it's going to go where it's aimed, and it, they're can be up to an inch long. So that'd be a devastating projectile to actually impact somebody, and it would do the same damage or worse as a regular bullet.
Absolutely. Now you can get different size blanks.
You can.
And that will produce more gases and more flash. Yeah. So, because sometimes, if you remember the old 80s movies, like your, Predator or whatever,
yeah,
and these guys shooting AR-15s full auto like this from the hip, which is, if you ever shot a real gun, obviously that's ridiculous. But
it is. Yeah.
Nonetheless, they used to have these big starbursty looking,
Yep, it's super
flashes.
Hollywood. The ammunition, the blank ammunition has additives in the powder that give you a much bigger flash. Most modern ammunition has additives to retard the flash because you don't want flash to give your position away or whatever the case may be. But in Hollywood, they want it the other way around. They want to see that big honking starburst. They want it to look cool when, Arnold's firing his machine gun from the hip or whatever the case may be. But there's a few different varieties of loads that you use. In Canada, the main ones we had are quarter loads, which are a quarter of what a normal load would take, and then we had a full load. The full load gives you that big, huge, beautiful, camera-friendly flash that they want to see on camera. The quarter load, we used it a lot, especially when you're indoors or you're in areas where sound is an issue, because the full loads are really loud. So a lot of places like downtown Vancouver, you can't fire full loads because it's too noisy. So you had to shoot quarter loads only.
I'm sure the Vancouver Police Department lines are lighting right up.
Sometimes they were, but we always had Vancouver Police on set with us to make sure that when people started phoning in and there's a gunfight on Granville Street, that they're like, yeah, I know, I'm here with it, and it's a movie, so it's okay. So they worked quite closely with us all the time.
That's really cool. Well, I appreciate that information. It's very interesting. Hopefully you guys found it interesting too. So we're going to wrap it up for now. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.
Always point the muzzle of the gun downrange.
That was awesome. Crank it back.
Every year, the CCFR teams up with the Eastern Ontario Shooting Club, Ontario's third largest shooting facility, to host a Ladies' Range Day.
How did that feel?
Good.
Your turn. And keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot.
You did very good.
There we go. And then you finally pull the
Awesome. So if you're ready to shoot, then we can get you loaded up. Yep.
The EOSC has many ranges available for various shooting sport disciplines.
You want that post to be flush with the notch, and then you aim at your target.
So up is safety on, down is safety off.
So you want to be careful with this.
Okay, all right.
This is a great opportunity for women of all ages to come and try shooting a variety of guns, many of them doing it for the very first time.
That's good.
Want this part of the sight to be right below the target or in the middle?
Okay. When you're ready, tell me and I'll take off the safety. Ready? Okay, you can put your finger on the trigger and you can pull the trigger. Awesome!
It's always a safe environment, all safety protocols are followed, and people walk away from these events having the time of their life. They're posting to social media, there's pictures everywhere, having an awesome time, and it sort of helps demystify some of the negative stereotypes that gun owners get in Canada. We've been doing these Ladies' Day events for a couple of years now, and we've put hundreds of women through the program. It's an inexpensive, fun, cheap afternoon, and they get to come out and have a lot of fun with their girlfriends. People of all ages are coming out to them, and they're walking away with a completely different perspective on firearms ownership in Canada.
Oh, they're shooting cowboy style.
The CCFR was out in full force with qualified instructors to guide the women to help them feel comfortable handling the firearms.
Sorry.
And then we're going to approach the shotgun. Okay. We have a pump. Right? Okay. So
It's interesting to see the girls compete against each other and have fun and see who gets a bullseye and who doesn't. And that's sort of the idea behind this. It's just a lot of fun in a safe environment and just changing hearts and minds one at a time.
The safety officers take the time to explain each firearm, how it operates, and stay right beside them while they try it. There is a variety of targets, anything from balloons, paper targets, and steel, as well as clay pigeons. This was to give them something reactive to shoot at.
Round into the magazine, press it down.
Specific light, very precise trigger.
When you're ready, take your thumb and take the safety off.
They tried pistols of all types and calibers, 22, 9mm, and a .45. There were also some 12-gauge shotguns and the SKS, but the one that was considered the most popular of all was the AR-15.
Turn your elbows in. Ken feels a little unnatural.
Tracy Wilson, VP of Public Relations for the CCFR, was quoted as saying, "We encourage the ladies to take tons of photos of each other and post them to social media. Nothing dispels the negative stereotypes of gun owners like a bunch of soccer moms with Glocks having the time of their lives."
A good start is to go with 5.56.
In the end, a great time was had by all, with many new friendships being made, and the group left the day excited for the next opportunity to do it all over again.
Remember, if you don't stand up for your own ability to own and use firearms, who will? Join the CCFR or donate right now at www.firearmrights.ca.